This video is not about setting goals. It's about identifying the system that produced your last year so that the next one doesn't happen by accident. Give me 15 minutes and I'll give you your best year yet, guaranteed. Now, before we start building our plan for 2026, let's take a look back at the previous year and just get a whole lay of the land on what happened. Now, if you want to actually do this process, instead of just listening to me blab about it, I've built a Bulletproof 2026 worksheet. It's the exact same system that I use. It includes every prompt from this video, the sequencing, the reflection pages, the fear setting, the Misogi, adventures, calendar, everything. So if you're trying to go hardcore on this front, or if you just want a guided version, I'll put a link to that in the description as well. You can print it out, you can do it digitally. It's like 10 bucks. Use it, modify it, make it your own. So let's grab a pen and paper and get into it. So the first question is, what did I do this year? It doesn't matter what life bucket it goes into, just anything notable or memorable, let's jot it down. Now, before digging into the calendar or the camera roll, I like to just go straight off the dome. Whatever comes to mind. It could be literal events that took place. It could be new relationships that formed, or maybe new skills that you learned. And don't go crazy if you feel like you can't remember everything. We're gonna check in a few more places. Here are a few places that I like to check. They help refresh my memory. Up first is the calendar. Just take a high level skim through week by week, or you could even do month by month if you don't put a lot of stuff in a physical or digital calendar. There's definitely one or two things in there that you probably wouldn't have remembered otherwise. Maybe you took a weekend trip to Nashville. Maybe you visited your parents 4 times this year, or maybe you got a promotion at work. Up next is the camera roll, and this is where the real gold is. Take a scroll through and see what you churn up. There's always something in here that I totally would have forgotten about otherwise. A lot of times it's concerts that I went to, or maybe someone had a baby, maybe you caught up with some friends that you hadn't seen in a long time. I think you'll be surprised what you might find in here. And finally, if you keep one, definitely check in the journal. Now, when you read through your journal, you kind of get an emotional and spiritual pulse on the year, more than a read back of actual events. But this is super important too. What sort of things were on your mind this year? What did you struggle with? Or maybe there's a recurring theme of something that you were really grateful for. All right, now here's where it gets really interesting, and only do this if you're comfortable. Take screenshots of your entries in your journal. If you don't have that many, then maybe screenshot all of them. If you're in the journal every day, then maybe you don't want to screenshot all of them. So maybe you just find the most meaningful ones, or maybe one a week. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put these into ChatGPT and analyze them to identify any patterns. The prompt goes something like this. Here are a series of journal screenshots. Please analyze them deeply. I want insights, not summaries. Identify and extract the following: recurring emotional themes, recurring thought patterns, behavioral patterns, value signals, persistent conflicts or tensions, strengths and bright spots, unspoken constraints, and questions. And lastly, questions I should be asking myself. Now, don't feel discouraged if you're not really pumped about the answer that you get from ChatGPT. Keep in mind, some of us journal every day. Some of us journal exclusively when we're pissed off, right? So the inputs are gonna affect the outputs that we get. And even if you feel like most of what you get back from ChatGPT is garbage, if you can just pull 1 or 2 nuggets of insight from this that you wouldn't have found otherwise, to me, that's a win. Now, hopefully in this process, you'll get the chance to revisit some of your most meaningful moments this year. We often just cruise right on to the next thing, so take a minute to soak it in. But don't get too comfortable, because we're about to get into the failures. What were my failures this year? Don't stress too hard about this part. It may be a little uncomfortable, but this is where the real growth begins to take shape. It's also a really good opportunity to let go of the things that didn't shake out the way we wanted them to. In my experience, this part of the exercise can actually be kind of therapeutic. So last year, I listed out 7 failures. That's a lot, or at least it felt like a lot to me. But looking back at the notes that I took while doing this exercise last year, underneath my list of 7 failures, here's what I wrote down in reflection. As I write these failures down, I realize how grateful I am for every one of them. They each taught me an important lesson. Why did I fail? Now that we've written all our failures down, it's time to get honest. What happened or didn't happen that resulted in this failure? And just try to jot down a few notes for each failure that you listed, whether it's 1 or 10. Maybe you lost motivation. Maybe something outside of your control happened. Maybe you just quit. And quitting isn't inherently bad. Pursuing something that no longer serves you for the sake of not quitting will be way worse. If you don't know why you failed, write that down too. What am I proud of? By now, your memory of the past year should be pretty fresh. And even with the failures, sometimes in the failures, what are you most proud of? Maybe you were there for a friend in their time of need. Maybe you took more chances. Maybe you had the courage to get started on something, even when it was scary. Maybe you chose happiness, even when it wasn't easy. What do I wish would have gone differently? If you could do this year all over again, what might you do differently? Do you have any regrets? Even though this might be painful, it's really important that we get these down on paper because they're going to help to inform our strategy for next year. You can never make the same mistake twice because the second time you make it, it's not a mistake, it's a choice. Major takeaways. This is where we condense all of the work we just did in the steps before into 1 to 3 overall big lessons from the year. I'll give you mine from 2024 as an example. In 2024, I had a record high number of failures, and yet I've never felt more optimistic or driven. Here was the second one. Failing in the present tense sucks, but looking back at past failures is actually quite positive, and I feel strangely proud of my failures. If you're comfortable sharing, let me know in the comments what your major takeaways were. Now it's time for the blender test, and this is a concept that I'm borrowing from the serial entrepreneur Jesse Itzler. It's pretty simple. Just take all of the buckets of your life, health, career, relationships, and just put it all together into one score on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Don't worry about the score. This is just a tool to uncover some insights. Trust me, you'll see where this is going. Now, once you have your score, ask, what is keeping my score from being a 10? And these are going to become our focal points for the new year. What are my worst fears? I'm not talking about spiders or snakes. We're talking deathbed regrets, or maybe fears that are playing a very active role in your life today. Now, why are we doing this? We're clearing away the psychological debris that quietly exerts a lot of control over our decisions. Naming our fears turns them into manageable, actionable problems rather than vague anxieties. Furthermore, we often make fear-based decisions even when the fear isn't something that we really care about. It's not a major fear. Let me give you a personal example. One of my deepest fears is being on my deathbed and feeling as though I held back, like I gave life 90% effort and just coasted, leaving some unexplored potential on the table. Now let's take that into the context of this YouTube channel. When I started this channel at the beginning of the year, I was thinking, what if it flops? What if I look stupid? All that stuff. But when I looked back at my worst fears list, it became obvious. I don't really care about embarrassment. I don't really care about failing. That bigger fear, one that I deemed important enough that I put it on a list called worst fears, now became my compass. And that made the decision regarding starting the YouTube a very easy one. If this sounds familiar to you, it sort of mirrors Tim Ferriss's fear setting exercise, which is all about dragging your fears into the light. My tweaked version of this is more about distinguishing between your major fears and your minor fears and making sure that it's the major fears that are setting the direction for your life rather than small things that you don't really care about. Only when the deeper fear is named can the smaller fear be acknowledged as being far less important. Anyways, I try to keep this list fairly short just so I know that these are really my worst fears. Like, I think I have 5 on my list. Ideally, it's short enough that you can actually remember all 5 of them in your head. But in full transparency, when I checked mine from last year, there was like 1 or 2 that I had forgotten. So, where I'd like to be in 12 months. These aren't goals per se, but more like nice to have things by the end of 2026. And I think I said this earlier, but we often forget to celebrate the small things and just cruise on to whatever the next thing is. Jotting down 5 to 10 things that represent where you want to be in 12 months will help you to be grateful and remember exactly how you were feeling when you drafted these things 12 months previously. Execution. Now, finally, we're putting it all together. There's no perfect way to do this, but just having completed the steps up until this point will give you the context necessary to understand how you want to proceed in this next year. You'll know where you succeeded in this past year, where you came up short, why you came up short, what you're really afraid of, and where you want to be in 12 months. That should be plenty of context for you to start filling in the gaps of how you want to get there. I find that I can get about 80% of the way there just on those exercises alone. Now, for the last 20%, I'd like to refer again to Jesse Itzler, the serial entrepreneur who's been mentioned many times on this channel. He has a great framework for executing on his year, and his philosophy is the one that I follow personally. 3 pillars to dominate the year. Up first is the Misogi, which is one year-defining event. This could be starting a podcast, a YouTube channel, starting a new business, writing a book, running a marathon, whatever gives you a sense of major accomplishment by year's end. If you're 30 right now watching this and you live to be 80, that's 50 year-defining events. That's an incredible life. Second is planning 6 mini adventures. Every other month or 6 times a year, plan a small adventure or an unusual experience that you wouldn't normally do. This could be a local hike, a fishing trip, a weekend getaway. Maybe you go see a lecture. Right now, I'm with some friends in a cabin in the woods. That's one of my mini adventures. Many adventures can be low cost or no cost. They don't have to be expensive. If you do this from age 30 to age 80, that's 300 mini adventures. Again, life well lived. Now, the important thing here is that you put these mini adventures on the calendar in advance, meaning you do them now. We're all busy people and our calendars inevitably get booked up. It's much easier to say, sorry, I can't, I already have something planned that weekend. So block out the time now and you'll have 6 mini adventures that you get to look forward to before the year even starts. And third is to pick 4 new winning habits. Now, you want these to be simple, sustainable habits that you can continue to do throughout the year, obviously. Maybe it's drinking 100 ounces of water or meditating for 10 minutes a day, whatever. Now, rather than trying to become a brand new person overnight, we want to stack these habits one on top of the other. And what I mean by that is start with one of the 4 and make that your winning habit for quarter 1. Then at the end of quarter 1, we stack on the second habit and so on and so forth. By the end of the year, you have 4 winning habits. This stacking method of habits is sustainable, unlike New Year's resolutions, which are like famous for being unsuccessful. And by year's end, you'll have 1 big year-defining achievement, 6 mini adventures, and 4 new winning habits. If you want to hear Jesse Itzler talk more about this in depth, I'll link the video somewhere in the description. I love his videos, and this one is so great. It's one that I always refer back to. Now, if you want to actually do this process, instead of just listening to me blab about it, I've built a Bulletproof 2026 worksheet. It's the exact same system that I use. It includes every prompt from this video, the sequencing, the reflection pages, the fear setting, the Misogi, adventures, calendar, everything. So if you're trying to go hardcore on this front, or if you just want a guided version of what we've just talked about, I'll put a link to that in the description as well. You can print it out, you can do it digitally. It's like $10. Use it, modify it, make it your own. My only ask is that you actually carve out a good chunk of time to sit down and do this, because all of the big dreams and lofty goals that we obsess about are really just the accumulation of how we spend each day. If we haven't done the prep work of making sure that our daily actions are aligned with our North Star, then we constantly are lifting our head up and wondering, am I even on the right path? That's why this matters so much. Everything we do is compounding towards something. I want to leave you with this quote from Annie Dillard. How we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. Happy New Year. If this whole process of planning your year out and getting some direction has resonated with you, then there's another video that I think you'll get a ton of value out of. It's a deep dive into the mental models of some of history's greatest minds, and it's very much in line with what we just talked about. And if you like this video, hit subscribe. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.